going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of the 5 Takeaways, where we're going to take a look at the 2-0 defeat to Manchester United at Old Trafford last night and see what 5 things we can take away from the game. And let's start off with number 1, and that is total domination.
Yeah, Spurs conceded 29 shot, well, depending where you read, 29 or 28 shots throughout the whole game yesterday, which is the most of any side in the Premier League this season. Well, most of Spurs have conceded against any opposition this season. 10 of them being on target as well, so Lloris was very, very busy. Both lows for Tottenham this season. Spurs really couldn't contain Man United, albeit a lot of over half their shots were from outside the box. Spurs only managed two shots on target throughout the game and 9 overall, and we were really pinned back for long sections of the game yesterday against Man United, and we were just totally dominated. They had slightly more possession, but it was all about the amount of times they were able to get shots off, and meaningful shots as well, being able to test our keeper, and it was a massive problem, and we just couldn't contain them.
Yeah, and those stats are like definitely what you were seeing with your eyes on the pitch as well. I mean, they completely dominated us pretty much from maybe the 10th minute up until the final stages of the game. And it's very hard to take because the performance and the manner of that defeat was absolutely shocking. There were too many poor performances out there from too many players, and we need to really dust ourselves off and move again and have a much better performance on the weekend if we're going to take anything from the game against Newcastle, that's for sure. But let's move on. Let's talk about number 2, and that is Hugo shines.
Yeah, and well, he definitely had a much better, he had a very strong performance. The only one who really shone in the game. He made 10 saves, most notably 2 brilliant saves from Marcus Rashford to make sure he didn't get on the score sheet, and 1 from Luke Shaw with a back post volley, fingertipping it over the bar. And there also decent saves from Anthony and from Bruno Fernandes as well, making sure that the score was kept low. And as well, his distribution went under the radar a bit, completing 9 out of 13 long passes yesterday. So that was also a thing that I thought he was quite decent with as well, playing some nice passes. So Hugo was the only one really yesterday who came out with any credit, and I thought he had a brilliant showing.
Yeah, it kind of felt like a bit at the game. It was like Man United against Hugo Lloris for a lot of the game yesterday, and he did a really good job because if it wasn't for him, we could have lost about 5, 6, 7-0 yesterday. That's how bad the performance was, and that's how good Manchester United were yesterday. But credit to Hugo because he stuck with it the whole game. Couldn't have done anything with the goals that we did concede, but he did definitely stop us getting absolutely pummeled in the scoreline. So really good performance from Hugo on the back of a few games where a section of the fan base calling him maybe that we need to start replacing him or something like that. But I think yesterday he was absolutely sensational, so you got to give him credit for that, and the only one that does come away with a bit of credit from the game yesterday. But let's move on to number 3, and that is top 6 away struggles.
Yes, that was Spurs' 3rd game this season against the top 6 away team, and if you take all 3 games together, they've conceded 66 shots in those 3 games and only got 26 shots in return. So we have to find a way in these big games to get ourselves in more attacking situations. And I think right now we're playing very, especially in these games, we're playing very defensive football, like very pragmatic football. Yet we're still not restricting the opposition to down in their shots and opportunities. So if we're sacrificing our chance creation, you have to expect that we're going to be restricting the opposition as well. And at the moment in these big games, it doesn't seem to be happening. So we have to find a way of maybe getting on the front foot. So even if we do concede, we give ourselves a better chance of getting back in the game. Because right now we're just penned back way too much, and it's a big problem. Albeit there is a bit of a caveat to our struggles away at the top 6. No team in the Premier League, no top 6 team has won away at another top 6 team. So it seems to be a problem that other top 6 teams are having this season, facing there. They are definitely the hardest games, and obviously we are the only top 6 team this season to play 3 away games against fellow top 6 teams. So those stats can reassure fans, but definitely our performances away in these big games are definitely something to be concerned about.
Yeah, I think absolutely spot on with what you're saying. And I think it's pretty damning, the amount of shots that we're facing when we're coming in these games. I'd like to see what we're like against maybe a top 6 team at home, because our home record has been really good. I'd like to see how we face up to the challenge of that. But Conte's calling it. He's saying that, maybe the quality isn't there. It's like he's saying time and time again, we're coming into these kind of games and not really competing. And he's completely right. And we need to find a way around it. We need to look at, the hallmarks of last season when we went to Anfield, when we went to the Etihad and put in really good displays. And, we came out with 3 points at the Etihad. We should have come out with 3 points at Anfield when we drew at the end of the day. And we need to get back to that, because we were really strong and solid in those games and had really good attacking impetus as well when we did go forward. So we need to get back to that. We've shown in the past that we can do it. So Conte needs to look at it and really put us on the right path, because at the moment these games against these kind of teams are not going well at all, and we need to find a way to work around those situations. But let's move on to number 4, and that is midfield lacking.
Yeah, and I think moving to the 3-5-2 yesterday in this game definitely is more of an emphasis on your midfield players to make more of an impact, especially going forward. And obviously defensively, that's what the players that we have, they're going to be strong there, but when you're going forward, they need to take some responsibility on the creativity part and, trying to be more offensive. And they just didn't do that yesterday, all 3 of them, to be honest. And it was a real shame that yesterday they couldn't really get involved in the attacking third. There was one key pass between the 3 midfielders. That was just from Bentancur. And there was only 2 shots as well from them 3 combined. And that was both of them from Rodrigo Bentancur as well. So they really struggled to hurt Man United when they did get on the ball. And also they failed to restrict Man United off the ball as well. So the midfield really had a tough time of it yesterday.
Yeah, and that one key pass and those 2 shots probably both came in the first 10 minutes of the game, which was, But look, I think that all our midfielders had an especially off day yesterday, and especially Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. I mean, I haven't seen him put in a display like that for a long time for Tottenham, to be honest. And it's not a surprise that none of them made a key pass or made a shot, because every time it came to them in midfield, they lost the ball. Every time, heavy touch. Every time, misplaced pass. I mean, it was so frustrating to watch. And do you put it down to an off day, or do you put it down to an actual problem in the system or something like that? I'm going to put it down to an off day for now, but we'll see how we progress into the season.
When it comes to defensively, for sure, I think a lot of it's to do with the system and them having an off day. Offensively, I question whether they were ever going to get the better of Fred and Casemiro, even at their best, because I think right now, those Højbjerg and Bentancur going forward, I mean, they're not of the required quality to really take the game to Casemiro and Fred, I don't think. And they were always going to struggle. And they could have done better than they did, but they're always going to be a big struggle in that facet. But for sure, when it comes defensively, had a big off day.
Let's move on to the last, 5th and final takeaway, and that is falling behind.
Yeah, now with their defeat, we do remain 3rd, which is a positive, even though Chelsea drew. So they're still behind us by 3 points with a game in hand. But we are 4 points behind Arsenal now, with Arsenal having a game in hand, albeit their game in hand is against Man City. But still, the facts are they have a game in hand and we're 4 points behind. So that doesn't give a pleasant reading. Still, same points as Man City, but they'll have a game in hand. And Man United now in 5th. They're 4 points behind us with a game in hand. So definitely the top 4 race is starting to tighten after this defeat. And we're falling behind our North London rivals, unfortunately.
Yeah, but look, at the end of the day, we are slightly falling behind in that, but we are 10 games into the season, still early days. I mean, no serious football fan really looks at the league table seriously until end of January or something like that to see who's in the title race, who's in the top 4 race, all this kind of stuff. So I'm not taking too much notice into that yet. I still think there's so much football left to be played for us to catch up. All you have to do is look at the back end of last season. We were 5 points behind Arsenal going into the final 3 games of the season. We still finished above them. So at this stage, to be 4 points behind with a game in hand, their game in hand against Man City, I'm not looking too much into that. I think we just need to dust ourselves off, get back to basics, and really start strutting our stuff anymore. I think we'll be all right. We just need to shove this out of our memory and just move forward and concentrate having a good game against Newcastle. And if we win against Newcastle, we're back on the right path. So I'm not taking too much notice into being 4 points behind Arsenal and they got a game in hand, to be honest.
Just doesn't look good.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for now, but things change very quickly in football. They do. So you got to look at the positives. And last night was very hard to watch. The football that we've been playing this season, very hard to watch. But I don't mind it when we're winning. And we have been winning for the most part of the season. And when we have an off day like we did yesterday, it looks terrible. And you come away getting back at 4-5 in the morning from Manchester. It's also a very bad situation. But you got to take the positives from the season so far. Top of the Champions League group, third in the league. And yeah, still very early in the season for us to really, make the markings on Arsenal. So let's not be too down. Let's not be too harsh on the team, because it was an extremely off day yesterday. Let's just hope we can get back to it on the weekend against Newcastle. That's all you can say, really.
All right.
But that is your 5 takeaways from the game last night at Old Trafford. 2-0 loss. In a very, very poor display from Tottenham Hotspur. Let me know in the comment section below what your takeaways are and what you thought of our takeaways. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.